How could I forget such an important bit? Get the music going. Give everybody a few seconds to get in here. I hope you guys are excited for today's lesson because we're back on it. We are going full steam ahead. Today's a whiteboard lesson. That's all right. Today's a good one. All right. Looks like we've got a couple people joining in. Let's go ahead and move our music off and we can get started. So let me welcome you to the best part of your day, of your week, of your month, and definitely of your year. But before we get started, let me ask you a serious question. What's the only thing in the world better than drinking? And you might think, sex. Sex is better than drinking. No. There's one thing that's even better than sex and even better than drinking. And that, my friends, is drinking together. So, if you would like to take this experience to the absolute highest possible, if you would like to really join me, Lane Stevens, if you would like to really join me and enjoy this, I want you to find yourself something to drink. It could be in any sort of beverage vessel. You can have anything you like. You could have a whiskey, maybe a Seagram's and 7, and lift your glasses as we drink together. Cheers. Drinking together. That is the good stuff. Hey there, buddy. How you doing? I see you in there. Now, today, let's go ahead and just jump right into the lesson because today we have a lot to talk about. There's a lot of stuff that I'm going to go through. Today, I'm going to be teaching you about the 5 top mistakes that men make whenever they're trying to talk to girls. And these are easy things to fix, but it's stuff that most guys don't even realize that they're doing. In their head, they don't know what they're doing. They don't realize these 5 things. So let's just go ahead and jump right into the lesson. Sorry for you guys on Instagram can't figure out how to mirror the camera, so you're not going to be able to read it very well. I don't know, I'm a boomer. But on YouTube, you guys should be able to read it fine. So the 5 mistakes that guys make. Let's start with number 1. Most guys think that it's all about them. Now, what does that mean? Surely somebody out there, some of you guys are like, no. Don't get me wrong, Jack. This is about the girl. I am there. Oh, you're having a Jack and 7. How's that? Nice. Enjoying some of my namesake. I can appreciate that. So some guys are thinking to themselves, no, Jack, I promise you it's not about me. I'm out there trying to meet girls. I'm out there trying to get pussy. It's about them. Okay, but is it? Because if you think about it, what is stopping you? What's slowing you down? You have your social anxiety. You get into your head. You're worried about going up to a girl, about talking to her, about what you're going to say, about how you are going to look. Now, realize how many times in that statement I said you, and I didn't want to say her, right? So actually the problem that most guys have is that it is all about them in their head. They're thinking about what they're going to be perceived as, how people are going to see them, what they should say, how people are going to view that, things like that. They develop this anxiety because in their mind, they think the whole world is watching them. All right, I'm going to tell you right now that is not true, and I'm going to prove it to you. Think in your mind, not in a bar or in a club, but anywhere else. How many times in your life, in your whole life, have you seen a guy go up to a girl and start talking to her and strike up a conversation and take her out on a date right then? How many times have you ever seen that? Probably none. Or for some of you who are really observant, fewer than 5 times. Is that because it's only happened fewer than 5 times? No. It's because you're not paying attention. Right? You're not paying attention to some other dude chatting up some random girl in the coffee shop or on the subway. Even if you notice them, you might just assume, oh, they already know each other. Oh, they're together. Oh, there's something going on there. Oh, he has a reason. Maybe he's selling something. And then you just forget about it immediately. Right? That's how other people feel about you. Nobody's paying attention to you. Nobody gives a shit. This is the truth. Now, You might feel at first like that's a harsh truth. What? Nobody cares about me? Nobody's paying attention to me? But the truth shall set you free. And in this case, it absolutely will. Nobody's paying attention to you. It's not about you. You don't have to worry what anybody else is thinking about. So whenever you see that cute girl walking down the street and you think to yourself, oh, I should go up and talk to her. But what if other people see? What if I get rejected and other people see it? Then that'll be really embarrassing, right? Nope, you can immediately discard that thought because nobody's paying attention. Nobody cares. Nobody's thinking about you at all. Okay, now the other thing that guys do in making it about themselves is whenever something goes wrong, they take it personally, right? If you go up to a girl and you say, hey, baby girl, what's your name? What is it? Hey, little girl, let me whisper in your ear, tell you something that you might like to hear. Or whatever it is that you're doing, you're going after this girl and you're doing that. Then you feel that if she says, oh, no thanks, or next, that you need to take it personally. And guys take rejection really personally, really seriously. But here's the thing. It's not about you. She doesn't even know you. So how can she reject you? Okay, you may have heard that one before. But here's the deeper part of that. She's just a person, right? She's having a good day. Maybe she's a little bit more amenable to hearing you out. Maybe she doesn't have anywhere to be, then she'll hear you out. But she's busy. She's running late for work. She had a fight with her dad, whatever. She got in a car wreck. Who knows, right? Maybe she's just having a bad day and you're coming up to her at just the wrong time. And she doesn't want to be rude. She doesn't want to be mean. She doesn't want to yell at you. So she just says, oh, no thanks, right? And just moves on. Is that personal? No, of course not. If somebody tries to sell you something or they try to give you those little flyers or something for a business and you say, oh, no thanks. Is that personal when you turn that down? No, of course not. You just don't want that thing, at least not right now. But if somebody's offering a flyer with a coupon for a restaurant and you're hungry right now, oh, you're going to take it. Because that's the point, is that those people passing out the flyers and the coupons, those people trying to make sales know something that most guys don't, which is you're just filtering out the people who aren't interested so that you can look for the ones who are, because that's your target audience. You're trying to find the hungry people if you're running a restaurant, and you are trying to find the cock-thirsty girls. Okay, if she's not cock-thirsty today, that's fine. But if she is, great. Do you see what it is? It's not personal. It's not about you. And that's a massive mistake that guys make. Because whenever you take it personally like that, whenever you think that everybody's looking at you, whenever you get stuck in your own head about other stuff that's going on in the world around you, it negatively impacts your psyche. It's going to hurt you, and it's going to make it harder for you to approach other girls in the future, which is going to make it worse when you do, right? You see how this negative feedback loop continues? So get out of your own head. It's not about you. Let's go on to number 2. Number 2, guys don't stand out. They don't stand out. Now, there are a few ways that you can stand out, but first we need to explain why it's important. Most guys don't even think about this. They don't even think about it at all. They say, oh, well, I'm just going to be me. I'm just going to be me. I'm just going to be natural and do what I feel and just say what I think. I'm like, okay, great. You can and honestly should do that. But with one big caveat, you can't be boring. This is the problem. This is the strategy that most guys employ, and most guys are not successful with women. Do you see the connection there? So you do need to stand out. Now, you can do that in a lot of different ways, right? Like I oftentimes use silly hats as a way to visually stand out, or funny clothes, or I'll have a guitar on my back or something like that, because those are all good ways to stand out visually. But even without that stuff, and even with it doesn't matter. You still need to stand out with who you are and how you're acting, the things you say, the way that you convey yourself. All of that stuff needs to stand out. Most guys don't. What are some of the ways in which most guys don't stand out? Well, most guys will ask boring ass questions. They'll go up to a girl and say, oh, hey, I'm Jack. It's nice to meet you. So, what do you do? So, where are you from? Do you come here often? Do you like this neighborhood? Do you have friends here? You're boring. You're boring. You're asking basic bitch interview questions that she doesn't care about, right? She's not invested. She's not invested in this conversation. Why? Because you're boring. Because you're not standing out. Because you're the same as every other guy. And when you're the same as every other guy, you're going to get the same results as every other guy. So, what do you need to do? You need to stand out. You need to be different. You need to know what you're doing, what you're saying. And by the way, if any of this is ringing true to you so far, if any of this is sounding like, oh, you know what, Jack, I think you might be onto something here. I want you to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit your little hearts, hit your bells, hit all the whistles and all that stuff. And let's keep going. So if you're doing the same thing as every other guy, then you're going to be viewed as every other guy. And if you're being viewed as every other guy, then you're not interesting, because why would she choose you over anyone else when there's no distinguishing features or factors? And even if you have some sort of distinguishing factor, like a silly hat, like a guitar on your back, whatever it is that enough? Is that enough? Most guys feel like, oh, it's enough because I'm nice and I'm kind of fun to be around. Okay, cool. I mean, so are most people. Most people are nice and kind of fun to be around. That doesn't make them interesting, and it doesn't drive people to want to be with them more. And that's your goal, right? You want a girl, you want to get girls, you want to learn how to keep them around, how to get them interested in you. Okay, you have to be different. You have to be something more than the other guys are offering. And if you're going up, you're asking basic bitch boring questions, then that's not going to work. And the second part of this that's keeping you boring is that you're playing it safe. You're too worried about what she thinks, about what she's going to feel, about how she's going to react to you. You're too worried about it, and so you play it safe. You think, well, you know, what I really would like to do is I'd like to invite you over to my place, cook you a nice dinner, put on some Netflix, and then start banging it out. Okay? That's what I really want. But that sounds too forward. So I'm just going to ask her for dinner and a movie. That seems safe. You know who else is safe? Every other guy. We've already been through this. Don't do what the other guys are doing. You see guys doing this thing, you see tropes, you like any of these dating conventions, things that everybody's doing, don't do those, because most people suck at dating. Most people don't know what they're doing. And if you do the same shit as everybody else, you're going to get the same results as everyone else. Hey, what's up? Yeah? Good to see you. So don't do the same thing as everyone else. Don't play it safe. If you have a thought in your head that you think is funny, something that you want to say, some reference you want to make, some joke you want to make, but you're worried that she might get a little bit offended, that she might say, oh, well, I don't like that sense of humor, and leave, say that thing. Say that thing. You have to say that thing. Because if you're playing it safe, if you're not inviting her over for dinner and you're asking her for dinner and a movie instead, if you're not saying, hey, no, don't bring your friend along for the date. This is a date. So I want to make that clear from the get-go. No, you can't bring your friend along. Why would you even ask that? Do you not know this is a date? If you can't say those things, then you're playing it too safe. Then you're doing the same shit as every other guy. And you know what you're doing? You're putting yourself in the friend zone. That is not good. Massive mistake. Let's move on to part 3. Woo! This is taking a while. Turns out I have a lot to say on this topic, it seems. Okay, number 3. This is following along with what we just had. They don't create interest. This is massive. This also goes along with the bad interview questions, the boring bitch interview questions from before. But most guys, whenever they go up to a girl, they're not creating interest. Now, I understand. That sounds like a tough thing to do, right? You're thinking to yourself, well, Papa Jack, I don't know how to create interest. How do I get a girl interested in me? Okay, it's fine. I'm going to tell you But first, I'm going to tell you what you're doing wrong. You're going up to a girl and you're just putting yourself out there. You're just saying, hi, I'm Jack. I'm here. I would like to maybe talk a bit if you want, and then eventually just stick my willy in you. Can we make that work? There's no real reason. There's no real impetus. You're not creating interest, right? Another mistake in that same vein that guys will make is they'll learn how to fix the first part, and they'll go up to girls and they'll be a little bit better calibrated. They'll know how to talk to them a little bit better. But then they'll just say, hey, I like talking to you. Give me your phone number. Why? Gee, there's no reason. There's no interest here. There's no interest. You need to learn how to create interest in your conversations. And there's one easy way to do it, and that's to create curiosity, because curiosity creates interest, and interest creates attraction. Without interest, you can't build attraction. And without curiosity, what is there to be interested in? So, how do you create curiosity? A million ways to go about this, but one of the best things you can do is stop talking like a man. Now, I realize that my whole audience is all men, so that sounds stupid. And no, I'm not talking about going up to a girl and acting like a valley girl. Hey, girl, what's up? Or some weird shit like that. What I'm talking about is I'm saying stop speaking directly. Stop answering questions. Stop doing things that take away curiosity. The way that men tend to communicate to one another is it's an information exchange. Communication between men is only about exchanging information. We aren't interested in discussing how something makes us feel unless it's important to the conversation and the information we're getting across. We aren't trying to build curiosity and interest whenever we're talking to other guys. But you need to when you're talking to girls. So one of the things I just mentioned there, she asks a question, don't answer it. But you can do that in a fun way. You don't have to be a dick and say, I'm not telling you that. Instead, you can create reasons, build up some curiosity. If she says, so what do you do? What's your job? Say, oh, I'd love to tell you, but I have this contract with the government that I'm not allowed to talk about it. And so it doesn't have to be true. In fact, the further it is from the truth, the better, because then it obviously becomes a joke. It creates curiosity. If she asks you something like, where do you live? And you just make up some stupid shit. You're like, oh, I live in a van down by the river. What? I'm sorry, you what? Okay, now we're having fun because now we've created curiosity. And then curiosity, you'll know if you've done it right because she's going to ask a follow-up question, or she's going to laugh, or she's going to respond in some way that shows you, that you've done it right. So you have to create curiosity in order to create interest. And you have to create interest in order to build attraction. Let's move on to number 4. And by the way, these are all things that I teach in far greater detail in my Flirting 101 course. So if you're interested in that, make sure that you join the community right now. You can find that at thesoulplayer.com, and then there's a tab at the top that says community. Or you can go to realjacknorth.com, or you can leave a comment right below this video and let me know you're interested. And as soon as it goes live, I will send you a message about it. But no, never mind. I lied. Don't leave a comment for that. I'm not going to sort through these. Instead, just join the community. That'll be much easier. Okay, let's move on. So, number 4. This is another mistake guys make. They want to please her. They want to please her. And I'm not talking about in the bedroom. I'm not talking about getting her those, squirt fun times. I'm talking about They want to make her like them. This is maybe the cardinal sin that guys make. Now, remember earlier, I told you that guys who play it safe are going to get the same results as everybody else, right? Because it's a garbage plan. It's a terrible plan. Playing it safe gets nobody anywhere anytime. So don't do that. A lot of the reason that guys try to play it safe is because they want to please her. They want to make sure that she likes them, right? This is easier in singular. He wants to make sure that she likes him, but he also doesn't want to make her mad, doesn't want her to feel offended or upset because he's afraid that he might lose her. And if he loses her, then he's lost the interaction. Okay. We're going to come back to that in a minute. But whenever you're trying to please someone, whenever you're trying to say the things that you think they want to hear, it's not going to come off as sincere. It can't. It simply can't, right? Because you are filtering in your head. Here's what I actually think. Here's what I actually want to say. Here's what I think that they will like to hear. Okay, I'll choose that one. And then you're saying the other thing, not what you actually think. So it's going to come off as insincere. It's going to come off as incongruent. And that is both unattractive and suspicious as hell. Because that sounds like, oh, he's trying to hide something. He's got some ulterior motive. Now, you might be thinking in your head, well, but Jack, I do have an ulterior motive. I want to have sex with her. Bro, that's not a secret. That's not an ulterior motive. That's literally how our species has propagated for the last however many millions of years. Because dudes want to have sex with girls. We know it. It's not a secret. It's not an ulterior motive. We all know that that's the end goal, right? So accept that and own it. Don't be afraid of that. Don't shy away from it. But also, whenever you start acting suspicious, whenever you start trying to hide things, whenever you start changing the things in your head that you want to say, oh, that seems fishy. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on with him. That's how she's going to feel. Because she knows, she knows he wants sex, obviously. But now she's feeling like, oh, maybe he wants something. Oh, maybe he wants to like bring me into some pyramid scheme or some network marketing thing. Maybe he's trying to sell me something. Or maybe he's just a crazy person who doesn't know how to act in a social situation. Whenever you act in a suspicious manner by trying to please her, by saying what you think she wants to hear rather than what you actually think, you have a greater chance of losing her than you ever did by trying to please her. So you need to understand and accept that. Now, the other part to this, beyond just trying to please her and trying to say what you think she wants to hear, is that this causes you to pedestalize her, to basically worship her. And that is, first of all, a terrible idea because you don't want to do that. But second, highly, highly unattractive. Here's the thing. Girls have guys chasing after them all the time. Always trying to send them DMs, always trying to slide in there, always trying to chat them up at bars, always trying to flirt with them at work, any of that stuff. Girls have this all the time. And most guys just treat them like, what do I have to say to you to get in your pants? Because I really, really, really want to do that. First of all, it's a dehumanizing thing to them, so it's not that attractive. It's really unattractive, actually. But second, also, whenever you have people always chasing after you and always treating you like, oh, let me buy you a drink. Oh, let me take you out to dinner. Let me get you this. Let me do that. Let me do. It doesn't feel sincere because you know what the thing is, right? You know what the goal is. It's like, oh, let me buy you shit so that maybe you'll suck my dick. Okay. That's not... That feels like you're just trying to treat me well for this one thing. You don't care about me. You're worshiping me as a pussy, not as a person. Because you can't worship me as a person. You can't pedestalize me as a person. You don't know anything about me. And if you do and I don't know anything about you, that's even weirder. So stop that. Stop that. Stop trying to say what you think she wants to hear. Stop trying to put her on a pedestal. Stop trying to assume that she doesn't make mistakes. Stop trying to assume that she's perfect at everything she does. Stop trying to treat her with kid gloves. Talk to her like normal. Talk to her like you would talk to me. Talk to her like you would talk to anybody else. Because whenever you're real with them, whenever you're honest with them, then it feels congruent. Then it feels real. Then they actually get to choose whether or not they like you, whether or not they want what it is that you're offering. Unless they have that ability to choose, unless they know who you are and what it is that you're doing, how can they possibly choose? So they have to say no, right? They have to, oh, that's a little bit weird. It's a little bit creepy. Creepy. That's the word that you'll get whenever guys act like this. Whenever guys try to please her, whenever they pedestalize her, whenever they worship her, you'll get creepy because it's too much, too fast. It's not real. It's not sincere. They're clearly gunning for something. They're angling for something, and it's creepy. So don't do that. Don't do any of that stuff. Don't be creepy. Don't try to please her. Don't try to say what you think she wants to hear. Let's move on to the final thing, the final mistake that guys make. Well, it's not the final mistake, but in this list it is. All right, number 5. They don't have fun. Oh, this is, to me, the biggest thing. This is the biggest thing. I mean, the others are much bigger errors in terms of how it's actually going to work out for you. But this one is the one that drives me up a wall because I never understand it. To me, flirting is fun. Talking to people is fun. And it should be fun, right? That's kind of part of it. Because if you're not having fun, then why are you doing it? Then you're not doing it to talk to them. You're not doing it to get to know them. You're just doing it to maybe get your dick wet. And if that's what you're going to do, a better use of your time and money is prostitutes. There's no doubt about it. So you need to learn how to have fun or just resign yourself to being an incel for the rest of your life. Those are basically your two options. Let me help fix this for you if you're currently not having fun by trying to talk to girls. Because I get that just telling yourself, have fun, doesn't do it. Here are 2 of the reasons that guys don't have fun whenever they're chatting with girls. The first one is that they're always trying to win the interaction. Now, you remember earlier, I mentioned that guys try to play it safe and they try to say what they think she wants to hear because they don't want to lose her. They don't want to lose the interaction. So they're always trying to win. They're always saying, oh, what's the next thing I do to win? They're treating it as if it's a competitive game. It's not. It's not. This is not a competitive game. It's a cooperative game. It's something that you should be doing together, that you should be having fun with, and that you should be working on together in getting to know each other and learning about each other and developing this relationship and having a good time doing it. If you're treating it like a competition, oh, I need to beat her so that she will give me her number so I can take her on a date and beat her so that she'll come back to my place so that I can try to get her clothes off and beat her so that I can have sex with her. Do you see how that is not a healthy mindset to have? Right? First of all, not a good way to go through it because it's a little bit terrifying, right? It's kind of angry, and you don't want that. You don't want that because it's going to come across in your vibe. But the other thing is that can't be fun, especially when the lose condition in this game that you've made up in your head is she says no at any point for any reason or no reason. That's a terrible game. This is an awful game. If somebody asked you to play this game, you'd be like, no, I will not do that. That is an awful game. I do not want to play that. That's basically the game that guys set up for themselves in their head whenever they think that they need to win these interactions. And it doesn't matter whether you're talking about approaching a girl, whether you're talking about having a conversation with her at a bar, you're talking about texting her, you're talking about online dating, any of these things. Guys are always trying to win. And that sucks the fun out of it really fast because you're going to lose a lot if that's what you consider losing. So, how do we fix this? Well, we alter the game state. It's no longer competitive. Now it's cooperative. How can I get her to work with me as a team to make this thing more enjoyable for both of us, right? Because the win condition is have fun. That's it. That's it. It's not get her number. It's not take her home. The win condition is have fun. But we need to do it together. If she refuses to do it together, okay. Then now the win condition it still remains have fun, right? But the only way that it moves forward is if we do it together. But the lose condition is don't have fun, right? Not her saying no. Her saying no is okay. That's fine. In fact, it's going to happen a lot of times. But here's the thing. Can you still have fun chatting with somebody who doesn't want to date you? Or somebody who's already said no? Of course you can, right? So her saying no is not the lose condition. Not having fun is the lose condition. Having fun is the win condition. It's no longer competitive. It's cooperative. So instead of trying to win an interaction, you need to figure out how you can do it together, how you can build this up together, how you can learn to improve on this relationship together in a fun way. Learn how to get to know each other. Learn how to make this conversation more fun for the both of you. The second part of this, the second mistake that guys make, which makes that first part even harder, is that they're trying to follow some kind of formula. They're trying to follow a conversation formula. Now, some of you guys have seen my videos, and you've seen me give you formulas. Yes, well, formulae actually is the correct plural, but in any case, you've seen me give you things like this before. But this is the important part. I never tell you what to say. So what I'm actually giving you is I'm giving you a skeleton, a bare bones, an outline of here are the different parts that are likely going to happen in a given conversation. I've done complete breakdowns of the approach, like from the second you see a girl to the second you start a conversation. And there were the 5 steps that lead to that and exactly how to do each of those parts. But it doesn't work as a formula. It works as an outline because things can change. Variables change. Same thing with the conversation. Whenever you first approach a girl, you're having that initial conversation. I've given you guys the bare bones outline inside my course where I tell you, okay, here are the 5 parts to it. Here's how you transition from one to the next. Here's roughly how long each of these parts should last. But as I tell you in the beginning of that, all of this is subject to change based on the variables in a situation. You can't follow an exact formula, but you can have an idea for where things will go. Same as with this live stream, right? Like I don't have a script because I'm talking off the top of my head here, but I have an outline. I have this whiteboard that's going to help keep me organized. And conversations work the same way. Now, if you're trying to follow a formula, if you're looking online for like, okay, what is the one pickup line that works every time on all girls? It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. That's the fountain of youth. That's El Dorado. That's the alchemist stone. That doesn't exist. It's the dream, right? It's the dream because it can't exist. That's why, right? It's impossible. Too many variables, too much stuff going on in there. So that can never exist. But if you instead say, okay, what's the basic principle that I should use when creating something to say to a girl? Okay, now you're working with something. Whenever you say, okay, what kind of things do girls find interesting? What kind of questions should I ask? What kind of statements should I make? What should I tell her about myself? What should I ask her about herself? How deep should I go on these things? Roughly. Now you have an outline, not a formula. It's different and it's very important because without the outline, you're lost. You're just trying to make things up as you go. And if you're trying to follow a structured formula, then that's going to fail because it's too strict and it doesn't allow for variables to happen. So if you're interested in an outline, I highly recommend my courses, which you can find at realjacknorth.com or at thesoulplayer.com at my blog. And you can also ask more questions about these outlines, about how to put together your conversations and your approaches inside of the community, which you can find at thesoulplayer.com. The tab at the top that says community, you can click that and join right now. And if you're interested in my new Flirting 101 course that's coming to you very soon, you need to join the community now so that you have first access to it the second it comes out. So make sure that you join that now. And if you haven't done it yet, go ahead, throw a like, throw a subscribe, throw a heart, throw a bell, throw a cat call in there for me, and let me know how much you love this, because it does make a difference and it lets the algorithm know that I'm giving you guys good content. With all that said, I'm going to cut you guys off on Instagram because the lesson is over. And for you guys on YouTube, stay tuned for the live Q&A. So, Instagrammers, I'll see you next time. And PoopTubers, let's get started on the Q&A. How do we get started on the Q&A? Well, we bring in the player panel. So, coming in hot from California is the Kid. And from probably not that sunny Texas, we have Julius. How are you boys doing?
Doing all right. Yourself?
My throat hurts. I just ranted basically without taking a breath for the last 35 minutes. That was a lot of stuff. I didn't realize how deep into each of these topics I could go. This probably should have been like a 5-part series or something instead. You know what? Fuck it. Let's turn this thing into a mini course. Let's talk about that later, because I still have a lot more to say on each of these things. All right. The Kid, let's just jump into it. Q&A, what you got for us, champ?
Yeah, so one of the points you were making when talking was kind of, to build interest, you got to start with kind of building some curiosity.
Yeah.
So kind of encouraging the side of, don't be super direct with some of your answers. So my question would be kind of, what are some of the standard questions you typically get, and what are some of your like go-to answers?
People ask me how long I've been in Korea, and I tell them I've been in Korea longer than them. Because for some of them, it's true. I've been in Korea longer than they've been alive. And that, like, it doesn't answer the question, but it tells them, like, oh, I've been here a long-ass time. And then it leads to more questions like, wait, what do you mean longer than I've been here? But I was born here. And I just, well, right? Like, there are fun ways to go about that. The same way, if they ask me, like, do you speak Korean? Then I'll answer them back in Korean. What the hell? You didn't know that I'm Korean? Why? Because of my face? You racist. Right? Like, just go off on like a different direction entirely. But it also kind of answers the question. Just refusing to just give a simple answer. Because that's a really good way to build curiosity that turns into interest and attraction. But that's just one strategy, right? Like, there are so many ways to create curiosity. So, Julius, I know you missed it, but here, I'm going to give you a real quick couple of seconds to look through these. And especially, we're talking about this one right now, which is that guys don't create interest. And they need to make curiosity that creates interest that leads to attraction.
Right.
And so can you think of any ways that you've used to kind of create that curiosity or create interest whenever you're talking to a girl?
Oh, sure. One thing I always like to do is, I don't know, like, talk about languages. And so, like, if I ask them, like, hey, how do you say this word in Korean? And they go, I don't know, let's just say, they say taco instead for taco. I'm like, oh my God, your Korean and Spanish is really good. And then they start laughing. They're like, well, what do you mean my Korean and Spanish is really good? It's like, well, I speak Spanish too, but my Korean, it's not that good. So you should teach me a little bit more. So you just go off of that. You make yourself a little more interesting, and then you
Yeah.
go off of the conversation from there.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. One thing too is like, don't reveal everything about yourself right away. You want to drop, your more interesting bits and pieces here and there as you talk to them throughout the night or whatever date you're on. Because if I go in and tell a girl right away, oh yeah, I'm from Texas, my parents are from here, I have a twin brother, and I speak Spanish as well. You got all the interesting stuff out of the way in like 2 seconds, right?
Yeah.
You want to
I
kind
go
of
with that, but then it's like, oh, thanks for the info dump.
yeah, it's like a meme dump. You're kind of like, all right, I guess I'll kind of pick and choose where I like, but cool, man. But you also don't want to play question master either. I've seen guys who've done way too much of that. Like there's this one weird awkward guy I knew, and he was just like, he wouldn't even talk. It was just questions. It was like he was like Alex Trebek in Jeopardy. It was just questions and questions and questions and questions. Even to the point where my friend was like, why the fuck is this guy always asking me questions? What's wrong with him? Like, she thought he was legit creepy because he asked so many questions. Don't do that, guys.
Well, and like, it's good advice to tell guys you should ask her about herself, right? Ask her some questions and get to know her. That's good advice. Obviously, taken to the extreme where it's not good anymore.
Oh yeah, or it's like the only thing you do, and you just go like, hey, what's up? What's your favorite food? What's your favorite color? Blah, blah, blah. Like, no, dude. Like,
also,
off of that.
they're fucking boring.
Yeah, like you don't want to. Exactly. One of your points is don't bore them. Don't bore them with questions. Yeah.
One of the best ways that I've ever seen this done was somebody was like, I'm trying to remember the exact routine, but it was like, what do you like better, pizza or chicken? Okay, second, beer or cocktails? Okay, third, pancakes or waffles? All right, now, final question. When are you free for all three? Right? Because it insinuates we're going to have some food, we're going to have some drinks, you're going to stay over, and then we're having breakfast together the next morning. And I thought that was clever, but it's like quick, rapid-fire things that clearly leads to a point can work. And as long as like they're not deep questions, it's just like bam, bam, bam. That can work.
Oh, sure. I think,
but it doesn't develop a relationship. It just feels like kind of like a smooth Tinder opener almost.
Yeah. It's one of those that like, you're gonna be like, fuck it, I'm gonna ask this, and if you're confident enough, it could work.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Have to be there, don't you, to make that work?
And you also have to it's kind of like it's like a teasing thing that you ask, right?
Right.
Whereas if I go, so hey, what's your favorite movie? Oh yeah. What's your favorite season? What's your favorite time of day? What's your favorite food? What's your favorite drink from GS25? What's your favorite computer? Don't do that. Because the other one is at least funny, if not just extremely forward. These questions are just annoying and redundant and uninteresting.
Yeah. And it doesn't
kind of like Marvel
lead
movies
anywhere.
Yeah.
So
just say Marvel movies.
Yeah. So yeah, actually that's not a bad analogy, using Marvel movies where like we all know what the ending is going to be. The heroes win, right?
Yeah.
But it's the journey that keeps people interested. And so like if you're chatting with a girl, like we all know where you want this to end, which is your little mini hero wins. Okay, cool. But can you make the journey interesting or not?
Right. That's very important.
I mean, it's the only thing that matters, right? Because if she's bored, she's not sticking around.
No one is. And there's no second audition either.
No. Although there have been times when I've approached a girl and she's been like, you approached me before, like 3 months ago. And I was like, oh, really? And what did you say? She's like, well, I said no, right? Or we would have hooked up and you would have remember? Like, I maybe, but here's the thing. You said no, but you've been thinking about me for the last 3 months. Clearly, I made an impression. So, let's try this again. Hi, I'm Jack. Round two has never worked once, but fucking, I guess, always worth the Hail Mary. Because other than that, you just walk away with your tail between your legs.
Oh yeah, that's fucking funny. Yeah, I mean, it's always fun to just make it interesting, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Well, I remember one time a girl asked me the time because I was wearing a watch outside, right?
Yeah.
She asked me the time, and I didn't. I looked at my wrist, and I was like, I can't read this. So I just pulled out my phone. I was like, oh, here's the time. I was like, there you go. Sorry, I'm too drunk to read my watch. And she's like, how can you not tell time on your watch? I was like, I'm not here to read. I'm here to lead. And she started laughing, and I got an Instagram right in front of her boyfriend. So yeah, it's pretty bad, dude.
Yeah. 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 I mean, like, honestly, anything that creates curiosity, right? Because that's weird enough. Like, hey, I can't read my watch. Can you tell me what time it is? Like, what? Right? Like, anything that creates a question in their head is good for creating that curiosity and that interest.
Yes, absolutely.
Does
Get something.
that help to clarify what I meant by that, the kid?
Yeah. It's opening
Yeah,
loops.
Yeah, it's get the everyday boring stuff and make it interesting. Basically, it's like a basic premise to a horror movie.
Yeah.
Get the regular, make it irregular.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I mean, like, and you can make anything seem interesting. Like, no matter how boring it is, if you frame it right and you present it correctly, you can make anything seem interesting. Say you're like, I don't know, I finished all my work for the day at 2 o'clock. The bars don't open until 6. I'm literally just walking around killing time for 4 hours. But if you say, like, if you go up to a girl and you say, hey, now listen, I have a very special mission today, and I need to try to find people to help me with something before 6 o'clock. So, can I trust you with a secret? Right? And then she's like, wait, what is this? What's a special mission? And it's like, yeah, the special mission is I just need to find people to drink with me when the bar opens. Right? Like, but if you say that, that's boring. But if you present it as like a secret mission, and it's like, I have a secret, I need this special thing, and like, oh, okay, now I'm curious. Tell me more. I want to know. What is it? Right? Like, you can frame anything in a way that makes it interesting, that creates curiosity. All that it takes is just a little a little creativity and being willing to play fast and loose with the meaning of words. I mean, like, it's a special mission, kind of. I gave it to myself. Why? Because I'm bored, right? Like, words don't mean what you think they mean. Anyhow, before we go any further down that road and end up getting thrown into COVID jail or something, kid, next question.
Yeah, for sure. So for next question, I know kind of towards the end, you kind of, don't turn it into a game where it's like you're trying to win. Make sure you're having fun, make it more of a co-op game, right? So like, maybe kind of elaborate on kind of how some of the ways people go about, doing that, right? So sometimes some people might be like, I'm just gonna go kind of do what I want. They can tag along, right? Or it's like more they go on adventures, they plan fun stuff. Whether or not the person comes along is up to them, right? But it's like kind of how do you maybe some of what are you and Julius's go tos when it comes to kind of making sure you guys always have fun no matter who you're with.
Well, there are a lot of different ways to frame this thing in your head, but they all start with I'm here to have fun. And you like so my general not just my personality, but everything about me just screams like this guy's going to have fun. So you either get on the ride with him or not. And hell, even if you're with him, you might not be with him because he's just off in his world doing his thing. But I am very much on the I'm here to fun. I'm here to have fun. I'm here to party. If you want, you can join. And then there are other people like our friend Stallion. He's very much like, okay, I have this amazing plan, and we're gonna have a fantastic adventure. But here's the problem: is I can't do this alone. So, are you ready for a super fun adventure or whatever? We're like, his mind is, let's do this thing together, and it's gonna be great fun for both of us. And my mind is like, I'm going to go off and have fun. And if you want to, you can tag along. Let's see. I mean, you'll have a good time doing it. And they get to the same place, but they start with the idea that first of all, it's so even though I said make it a co-op game, I play life like a single player game where I'm just like, I don't know, I'm just gonna do things that have fun. You NPCs can either watch or you could join, or I don't really care. But what's up, Coot? I see you made it late. That's okay, man. But either way, the win condition is the same, which is have fun, have a good time doing it. Because if you set your lose condition to she says no at any point, and your win condition is she ends up with my Willie inside her tonight, then like, well, that's a whole lot of room for losing and not a lot of room for winning. Like this is a terrible game to play, right? This is like always betting on 36 red in roulette. Like, well, don't do that because you're going to go broke before you win. So I think that the idea there is to reframe it, and instead of trying to win your interactions, I use the idea of turning it into a co-op game or turning it into a single player game because I feel like that framing might resonate more. But really the idea is that you just need to learn how to have fun in your conversations. You need to learn how to entertain yourself. And like I've talked about this before, about practicing your conversations and your humor alone by just talking to yourself like a crazy person. It's totally fine. And it works really well to getting you to the point where you can entertain yourself. Because, I mean, I'm clearly both a crazy person and good at just talking to myself as I've done for nearly an hour straight now. Uh, and I find it entertaining. I find it fun, even if nobody else does. And if you can get to that point, then you win every interaction because you're always having a good time. Then, even whenever you approach a girl and she just like, you come up with some great line in your head and whatever. I'm not gonna think of a line right now, but you come up with some great line in your head and you go up to her and you deliver this amazing line and she just looks at you. She goes, hard next. Nope. Then you find that funny. Where like you just crack up laughing. You're like, fucking of course, right? Like that. Yeah. Excellent. Well done, you. And you had a good time doing it anyway, despite the rejection. The rejection didn't matter because you had fun making up the line, you had fun delivering the line, and then her reaction was funny, right? Because the response to it entertains you as well. Get to a point where you can laugh at all of it and there's nothing to fear. Then there's no losing the game, right? Or you could go the incel / war games route and say the only way to win is not to play. Okay, well, I mean, fucking enjoy Reddit and prostitutes, I guess. I don't know. What do you think, Julius, about the idea of like teaching guys how to not try to win in their conversations and in their interactions?
I think it's very important, and this also works. I think it's very vital for relationships as well.
Mm,
It's that like it's not important to win every single fucking battle, right?
mhm.
Even if it's banter
Yeah,
or like a little physical scuffle, or
yeah,
if you guys actually just get like into a debate or an argument of sorts, you don't have to have the last word. You don't have to you don't have to best her, right?
yeah,
Just kind of go, all right, yeah, whatever, okay, I'm gonna go drink a beer. Let's go drink a beer, or let's go do
yeah,
this, or let's smash. If you're in a bar setting, of course, when you're out with your friends and everything, just have some playful banter. Leave, it's okay to concede, or she makes a jab at you and you laugh it off, whatever, because it shows that a lot of times these are just shit tests and she's trying to see exactly what kind of guy you are,
yeah,
So if you react kind of like, haha, whatever, at least I got a beer. Whereas if you go, shut the fuck up, blah, 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 this, and that, you feminist, you're going to drive everyone in like a 5 mile radius, right?
yeah,
Because the rule is in life, if one girl hates you, all of them hate you. Don't do that. Learn how to concede. Learn how to roll with the punches. Oftentimes it's just a shit test. To make sure everyone has a good time, I try to include everyone as much as possible. So I remember long ago, ages ago, when we were with Idiot and your then girlfriend, you guys would speak Korean. We didn't speak Korean, right? So like if we had an English conversation, obviously she couldn't join. So what we would do is we had that card game. Remember, everyone was able to play, everyone was able to drink, everyone was able to have a good time, regardless of the language. And that's what we do pretty frequently. Yeah, just, hey, what are you drinking? What are you drinking? What are you drinking? What are you doing? Hey, guys, let's go. This it's blah 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 blah. So it was a lot of fun. Just include everyone as much as possible instead of just kind of focusing in on one girl, because then you have Mother Hen right there who's just gonna cockblock the shit out of you.
yeah. Well, and what you were saying a minute ago about not trying to not trying to always have the last word, not trying to like rub things in and like turn it into a fight is important, and that comes down to reading a situation, right? Because as long as people are smiling and laughing and you're kind of, you're tossing the ball back and forth, even if you're tossing barbs, right? You're teasing each other, you're making fun of each other, you're making jokes about each other's countries or whatever. As long as everybody's still smiling and having a good time, it's fine. But the
Yeah.
second that stops, you know what? Hey, let's grab a beer instead. Uh, to exactly that point, learning how to read social situations like that. A few nights ago, I was at an English pub watching the English and French World Cup match in a bar full of English people, and there's just me and one Scottish girl cheering for France.
Oh Jesus.
Mostly, I mean, not because we like France, but mostly just because fuck England, right? And it's just me and one Scottish girl just yelling about how France is gonna win and down with the crown and like all sorts of just anti-royalist shit and just tossing it all back and forth. And that's fine because everybody was making fun of us back and forth for being like, backwaters colonies and like, oh, uncultured swine and shit like that. Okay, fine. Right? Like, it's fine because everybody's tossing it back and forth. We're all having a good time. But then, in like the last minute of the game, both me and the girl just kind of shut up. Right? We just went to the corner and we were like, okay, right. Now is not the time to toss barbs because England's about to get knocked out of the World Cup and they're going to be fucking pissed about it. Until now, it's been fun in games, but now, don't do that, right? Now, just hang out in the corner, drink your beer, and strike up other conversations. Change the topic entirely, right? Because you need to learn to read the social situation. As soon as it changes from we're having a good time, we're smiling and laughing to, ooh, it's getting serious, it's starting to hurt. Okay, let's just get a drink. No problem. Nothing personal.
Oh yeah, sure. That's really important. I remember I tried doing that once with the group of girls that were working with Victor's friend,
Mm-hmm.
and this there was a group of girls, all of them lame. There was one who was tall, and I was talking to her for a little bit because I was waiting on a friend. And as all tall girls are, Kid and Jack, that they're like their entire personality is just based on their height. everything's just their height. So if you ask them a question, so what do you like to do? I like to measure things. I like to measure my height. I like being tall. What do I like to do? I like being tall. So what do you do? Walk around being tall. I'm like, oh Jesus fuck.
I'm
And
a
so
professional giraffe impersonator.
it's like I'm tall, I'm long. I'm like, that's how they all are.
When
And
I
so
was
anyway,
a kid,
this
my
girl
mom said I could be anything I wanted, so I chose to be a giraffe.
and so she was so proud of her height. She was, I think, my exact same height. Which okay, cool, you're tall for a girl, whatever. Nobody cares. And so I remember she was wearing some thick soles, right? Some shoes with really thick soles. And so they actually made her what without them, she was just like 2 or 3 centimeters shorter than me. Still very tall. So she was like Jade's height. And so I remember, you just took off your shoes and now you're back to your real height because you were just at your fake height.
Okay,
and it was just like, and then and then her and all her friends, the pack of feminist hyenas jumped on me because they didn't know how to read the situation. They weren't like, oh, ha ha ha, that's funny. And they were all like, no, me. I was like, oh Jesus. So my friend and I, we were just like, let's just get out of here. These girls are disgusting.
Yeah.
It didn't help that the rest of them, it was one tall girl who's kind of chunky, surrounded by short, fat girls. So we're like, oh my god, she's like the leader of these pigs. So we just got out of there and left and improved our situation, took our situation somewhere else,
Right.
So sometimes you can't win them all. You got to read the situation. If the girls are already kind of lame and then they react like that, you're never gonna make anything good out of that.
Yeah. So to exactly that point, your goal is have fun. You're having fun. Good. Keep it going. But the minute that things change, you're not gonna have fun anymore, or like you feel like, oh, they're not having fun. You either change the situation or you leave, right? Which is also fine because that's not the lose condition. The conversation ending or the interaction ending doesn't mean you lost. It just means, okay, it's over, right?
Oh yeah, losing would just be staying there and being miserable the rest of the night.
Yeah.
What you have to do is just like, all right, I'll just go to the other side of the place and hang out with some people who are not completely fucking lame, which is extremely easy. And everybody, that's not you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, the kid. I think we have time for one more. If you've got another question.
It's maybe not a question, but more so kind of maybe an observation I've had based on everything what you guys are saying. I'd like your opinion. So when it comes to kind of the fun in kind of the boring states, right? At least I've noticed, and I don't know if it's the reason why you want to make sure of this. It's fun is kind of like a transfer of the state, right? Like if you are very enthusiastic and excited about something, even if it's the most boring thing ever, right? Like walking around for 4 hours just looking for a store at the middle of the city. If you're enthusiastic and pitching that fun way, people will fall in line with, oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe the question would be let's say if you're going to go do something that if you just say what it is might be more boring. If you continually to how I would say like phrase it in that fun way, is it very important to always be phrasing these activities and these events you're planning in this fun way, even if they are boring, to kind of keep everyone engaged?
So the thing with framing and stuff like that is, I'm sure you've heard people say like, oh, even if you're feeling sad, if you smile, it actually improves your mood because the physical act forces the dopamine receptors or whatever. I don't know much about it, but like it's a thing that people often say, and the same is true for moods among people. So even a fake positivity is infectious, and negativity is also infectious. Moods transfer between people easily. So whenever you create some sort of false positivity or you're making something seem more interesting than it is, even if they know that you're making it up, it still works. It still does the thing that it's supposed to do. Now, is it something you always have to do? No, but why wouldn't you? Because even if it's not being framed in a positive way, if you're framing something in a negative way, intentionally, but that makes it more interesting, then that also works. Because it's not just something that you're telling them, it's also a story you're telling yourself. And so by framing the things that you're doing, even if they suck, by framing them in a more interesting or in a more positive light, you are making your life more interesting, right? So like later on, I have to go to the post office to send some stuff to my parents for Christmas. Okay, cool. That sounds boring as shit. But what if instead I say something like, okay, I want to make a guess to see how inflation has impacted things. All right, so I'm going to turn it into an experiment. All right. Now, the last time that I sent a package back to my parents, it cost me about $22. I think that this time, that same amount over the same period of time is going to cost me more than $50 to send. Okay, well now it's a little bit more interesting, right? You're just finding a new way to frame it, because now I want to see if I'm right. Otherwise, it's just like, I fucking have to go to the post office. What a drag. But if I'm like, okay, cool. Here's what we're going to see. I want to see if my guess is right. I just want to see if I'm smart, if I can eyeball something and see how close my guess is. That gives you something to turn it into. So turning things into a game, into a mission, into a quest, into whatever, right? Like these are really helpful, not just to getting other people interested in you, but also in just making your life more interesting, because it means the shitty stuff you have to do becomes more fun, and the fun stuff you can do turns into like, wow, this is amazing, this is so cool. Oh, did we achieve our goal? Did we finish our quest? Did we, right? Like, but you're just having fun along the way. Does that make sense? So like, you don't have to, but I kind of get where you're coming from, which is the idea that like, oh, that sounds like work. And like trying to come up with like new ways to frame things every single time. Yeah, but is it worth it to you? And the more that you do that, the easier it is to start reframing things in your head. So you do it a few times, and then you're like, wait a minute, this is actually really easy. Well, here's how I've tried it the last few times. And what if I add this element? What if I change this thing? Because part of human nature is that we get bored easily of things, and we need stimulation, we need innovation, we need something to change. And so even if you just take the exact same things that I've said today, right? Like, I'm on a special mission to find people to drink with, or I'm doing an experiment to see what the postal rates are, or something like that. Just take that, and every time you have something shitty to do, you just reframe it using that. I have a special mission to whatever. I'm doing an experiment to something. Just copy that entirely. Then what's going to happen is, after a few times of doing that, so it requires no work on your part to start this, right? Then after a few times, your brain's going to start saying, okay, but what if we added in some other variables? What if we added in some other conditions? What if we added in different things? Because that's what we naturally do. And so you're going to find that it's not actually hard, and you're going to start making up more things naturally, because you'll get just as bored of, oh, I'm doing another experiment to blah, 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 right? So you'll start to just add things in to make it more interesting. Like when you were, well, I don't know about you, the kid, because you've been, you may have only been alive in the world of like portable electronics and stuff, but at least when Julius and I were kids, if we went on a car trip, like, you're just sitting in the back seat for 5 to 6 hours with fucking nothing to do. And so you start making up games. You start making up games of like, oh, okay, is there going to be more grass on the sidewalk or more gravel? Or can I close my eyes only when we pass a fence, but then open them right whenever the fence is past us, right? Or you just start making up shit to do to entertain your mind, because in the absence of things, you start making stuff up. Or you play okay, let's find a thing, spot a thing that starts with the letter A, spot a thing that starts with the letter B next. You just make things up because you have nothing else to do. Same thing with framing stuff. Whenever you start to realize that you can reframe things and make your life at least 50% more interesting in everything you do, then all of a sudden it becomes like, well, there's no reason for me not to do this. And now that I've started, I'm going to keep on improving on this first basic idea and keep making it better and more interesting to me. So it's not actually work. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's kind of like it's not only for other people, but also makes your life more interesting. If you
Exactly.
reframe all your boring stuff as more interesting,
Exactly.
it's holistic improvement.
Yeah. And then, I mean, like, do it for yourself, but then also it really helps when dealing with other people too. That's all.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, this has become so ingrained as a part of me and who I am that I literally do it when I'm talking to my dogs. Like the other day, I took them out for a walk and it was like rain, snowing, and there was just sludge on the ground. And so when they got back in, they were disgusting. And I was like, oh, boys, did y'all hear the good news? I have really good news. You're going to be smelling great in about 20 minutes. It's shower time, right? And they hate taking showers. So you just reframe the thing into like, good news is you're going to be smelling. It's just so second nature to me now that I do it when they don't fucking understand me because they're dogs, right? Also, I'm reframing it for myself too because I want my dogs to smell good and not smell like street sludge. And I don't like washing the dogs. It's not a pleasant thing to do, but reframe it for them, reframe it for myself. Now it's better. It's a fun experience where they get to smell better. I don't know. You do it enough times and it just becomes the thing you do because accepting the truth laid out before you sucks. And it's way more fun to just make up your own world, right?
Yeah. That makes sense.
I mean, like, reality is subjective. You can make it into whatever you want. And it's a lot better than just accepting what other people put in front of you. Because you're getting a frame on anything you do. It's just a choice of, do I want to choose the frame or do I want to accept what is being handed to me? That's it. That's a whole other lesson in and of itself about like psychology and how people think and how you and whether or not reality is objective, subjective, anything like that. Let's save that for another time.
Yeah, that probably needs like its own entire live stream.
Yeah, and I mean, not even that. Like, it would need to be a special live stream where it's just like, okay, Jack's gonna get drunk on the stream. You know what? This might be a fun idea for like a totally separate thing, not the weekly live streams, because this is about giving dating specific advice. But we could just do a stream of like Jack's stream of consciousness, just like get drunk and start fucking rambling, which is a lot of times where some of my best ideas and nuggets of advice come from anyhow. So I think we should go ahead and wrap up there. Also, I really do need to get some stuff finished and take it down to the post office before they close. I really am doing that experiment today. So we'll see about sending stuff to America. I'll let you know if I failed, if I got the over-under correct. Julius, the kid, do you guys have any last thoughts before we wrap up?
No, I agree with all that.
Oh,
It's a nice life skill. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, then in that case, thanks for joining us, Cool Kids on YouTube. And if you haven't done it yet, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit that little notification bell. Join the community at thesoulplayer.com. I think it's thesoulplayer.com/community, but definitely on thesoulplayer.com, there's that community button at the top. It'll take you straight into the Discord chat. That's where you can talk to us, talk to me directly. You can ask your questions there that are going to get answered on these live streams weekly. And I will see you guys next time. So, Papa Jack out.